And good afternoon. It is time for our regular lunch and learn. And I'm so glad you joined me because today we're going to talk about mitochondrial dysfunction. Now, why are we talking about mitochondrial dysfunction? Because every third person, probably every second person that comes in to see me is telling me I'm so fatigued, I'm so this, I'm so tired, I haven't slept, I don't have any energy, I don't have all this. So this is why we're going to be talking about mitochondrial dysfunction. So your mitochondria, don't really want to go through a anatomy lesson, but in your cell, so pretend this is a cell, and think about an egg. So the yolk of the egg would be the nucleus of the cell. We've got 70 trillion cells in our body. Inside that yolk of the egg, you've got all kinds of different organelles in there. One of the organelles that is in there is mitochondria. Mitochondria is the energy producer of that cell. And so we're going to talk about why we are tired, what we can eat to avoid being tired, and maybe what kind of supplements we can do to rest that situation, because nobody has time to be tired, right? You know, at the end of the day, we get up at 5:30. Then we go to bed around 10 or so. And so that's a long day. By the time 10 o'clock rolls around, this girl's tired. Don't do naps in the day and that kind of thing. But I have all the energy that I need to get through the day, do everything that I need to do. And you can too. We've got people that come and see me and they say, I have to lay down for a 2-hour nap every day. Nobody's got time for that. And that's showing there's something wrong at the metabolic center of your being. So you might know the word metabolism, okay, and you would use it in reference to weight. I have a slow metabolism, therefore it's hard for me to lose weight. Or I have a fast metabolism, therefore I never gain weight. Those are true statements. The metabolic process, all right, is the function of the cell to do its work. And during that function, it throws off metabolites. All right, so this is toxicity. These are free radicals. These are all the kind of things that is just normal part of our functioning. Now, what is a free radical? So go back to your ninth grade health class when you were learning about physics and you were learning about atoms and you were learning about protons, electrons, and neutrons, right? So your electrons are on the outer edge and they swirl around the nucleus. They need to be paired. When they are paired, they are stable. If you've got one just lonesome person out there, that electron is not stable and that becomes a free radical. So when we eat our food and we digest our food, we're supposed to have balanced electrons. When we go through the metabolic process, it can throw something, and that makes an electron by itself, which makes it unstable, which creates a free radical. When we eat well, when we eat the right kind of food, then we make antioxidants. The body takes the flavonoids out of our fruits and vegetables and turns them into antioxidants, and the antioxidants attack and attach the free radical so it cannot do any damage to the body. So what kind of damage does it do? Remember, we talk about rust. It rusts us from the inside out. And do we get rusty? Really? No, we don't get rusty, but it causes cellular damage. So it's kind of like a little catch you up so you can talk about what we're talking about and understand what we are talking about. So the metabolic rate, or your metabolism, has to do with anti-aging, and it has to do with getting older without having dysfunction, all right? The mitochondria, as I said, are the power plant of the cell, and they make a entity, for lack of a better word, called ATP. Now, ATP stands for a multi-syllable word that I don't want to try to pronounce, but just understand that ATP is what is made in your body, and it is the cell energy that you have from your metabolic processes, all right? So the mitochondria uses oxygen to further process glucose and fatty acids from your food, which generate ATP, which powers the metabolic processes. The organelles produce 90% of the energy that the body needs to function. So that's a lot, 90%. So if you're not making ATP, then you're going to be in trouble. So good to know that a lot of our products have ATP in there because we know that people don't have enough ATP, but we also have other products that will help you generate more. All right. For the mitochondria to be stable, they have to have enough ATP. They cannot store it. It's not able to be stored. And at any given moment, a person has about 250 grams of ATP in their cells. That is equal to, get this, 4.25 watts of energy, or the energy that is stored in a single AA battery. An average healthy person will generate 1,200 watts of energy every day. Now, the mitochondria controls the life cycle of the cell. Okay, yes, ATP is energy for the mitochondria. You're absolutely right. I'm glad this is making sense because it is complicated and I'm trying to break it down for you. As the cells enter into dysfunction, they enter into a phase of clearance, right, or repair. Now, if they enter into the clearance phase, the medical term for that is apoptosis. Now, you may, if you are a cancer survivor or you've dealt with cancer or you have taken care of people with cancer, you may know that word apoptosis because a cancer cell is a cell that apoptosis does not I don't know what the right word is to attach to it, but that's not right. Your life cycle of the cell, you're healthy, you get sick, it dies, the body kills it, apoptosis, right? And then the body cleans it up, the white blood cells clean it up, all the debris is washed out or recycled or whatever. With a cancer cells do not go through apoptosis. They never die. They are immortal, all right? And so this is why cancer is such a big deal, because the mitochondria has a problem with that, all right? The process, right, used to recycle the cellular elements is essential to the ongoing repair and recycling of the cellular cycle. Mitochondria determine which cells need to undergo apoptosis, and in those cells, the mitochondria release a substance that activates the enzymes responsible for the process of apoptosis, causing the cells to dissolve into their components to be recycled or to be expelled from the body. The entire process requires sufficient ATP to work. If you don't have ATP, that is not going to work for you. And so you will never get rid of cancer until you get your mitochondria working the way it needs to, so that it can take care of the dead cells, take care of the sick cells, take care of things that are morphing in the wrong direction, okay? So if ATP is deficient, then the apoptosis mechanism fails and cancer cells can multiply and grow indefinitely, okay? So yes, you're right. The mitochondria is the wisdom of the cells. It's also the wise body of the cells. And so when we get damaged and just aging, okay, when you are aging, your cells, you've got your cells, they divide, they multiply, they divide, they multiply. When that happens, as we get older, the proteins in the DNA misfold. They fold in a way that is not correct. They fold in a way that brings damage. It turns off cells, it turns on cells, maybe the bad cells. And so we want to make sure that that doesn't happen and that we have enough ATP so that when the body recognizes, oops, I folded a protein incorrectly, I need to go and take care of that, right? Then we have enough energy to do that. So that's really, really important. However, because of aging, your mitochondria are susceptible to damage. All right, they are very, very fragile. Their function can be affected by viral infections, inflammation, certain nutrient deficiencies, chemical toxins, heavy metals, and radiation. Now, if you watch this at all, you watch my programs at all, we talk about this beautiful scanner that I absolutely love. And if you are not here in the Houston area and can get to me, in the flesh, I have partners all over the world, and I may be able to find this for you in your area where you can go. It's a 30-second test, and it tells you what your level of antioxidants are. if you are deficient in antioxidants, and most people are, then you are going to have trouble at the mitochondrial level, right? So it's good to look at this, to see where you are, and so you know what to do in order to revive yourself, okay? So the mitochondria are also particularly susceptible to oxidative stress. Remember, free radical damage, all right? The free radicals have a byproduct of mitochondrial metabolic processes. For example, the mitochondria produce more energy when we eat, and more free radicals are generated as a result. So we don't want you to stop eating, but if you're eating the wrong things, then you're going to be producing more free radicals. A lot of people follow the standard American diet. We call it the SAD diet, standard American diet. So you're eating a lot of foods that are not real foods. You're eating processed foods. You're eating contaminated foods. And when the body breaks those down, it releases free radicals because they are not in their organic state. So I hope that makes sense. All of these factors, the heavy metals, the toxic food, all the things that we mentioned, okay, will damage the mitochondria, and it interferes with their ability for self-repair. When the mitochondria sense these threats, they will shut down their energy factories. They will alert the cell nucleus of the danger, and at that point, the mitochondrial function shifts from energy production to cellular defense, right? So we want cellular defense. When my nucleus finds out that I've misfolded that protein, boom, get it out, kill it, recycle it, make a new one. If you can repair it, then repair it. So the mitochondria can't do both things. It can't produce energy and protect or repair your cells. So it's got to choose one or the other. And if you are deficient in your ATP, then nothing's going to work for you, okay? So cancer cells multiply and grow indefinitely when your mitochondria is damaged. And listen, people, most people are deficient in their ATP. So Dr. Michael Chang, who was the founder and attending physician of the Healed and Whole Clinic in California, has authored a book called Mitochondrial Dysfunction, a functional medicine approach to diagnosis and treatment. All right. He wrote this book. You want to get this book if you've got any kind of ongoing chronic disease, if you have cancer, if you have autoimmune diseases. You're going to be progressing unless you turn that around, okay? Cancer is like the worst thing that can happen to a human, right? Because it is almost always terminal. I don't want to burst your bubble there. It takes a lot of energy to kill a cancer cell. If you are going to work holistically to kill cancer, it is going to require a lifestyle change. It is going to require a diet change. It is going to require a thought process change. It is going to require every bit of every commitment that you have in order to get your cells to turn around. Is it possible? It absolutely is possible. Most people do not have the strength of character or the strength of the mental strength in order to do that. I'm just throwing that out there. Most people do not have the mental strength to do that. However, it can be done. And this book, let me give you the name again. All right. It's called Mitochondrial Dysfunction, a functional medicine approach to diagnosis and treatment. Okay. He says in this, what I just told you, the energy regulating cell process of the mitochondria can only produce ATP, or it dissolves the damaged cells. It can only do one of those two things at any one time. Cells within a malfunctioning mitochondria will become starved of energy. The symptoms that people experience can vary greatly depending on the cell type and the range from mild fatigue, sleep disturbances, decreased stamina, mood swings, muscle and joint pain, severe fatigue, all right, brain fog, anxiety, depression, heart and respiratory problems, age-related degenerative conditions such as hearing and vision loss, skin wrinkles, okay, they're also linked to the mitochondria. Now, every single one of these symptoms that I have just told you, every single person that comes to see me has about 5 of these symptoms, right? So we know that your mitochondria, remember, very, very fragile. And if we're not paying attention to what we eat, what we think, all those kind of things, then we are at risk of damaging that mitochondria. So that's really, really important. According to Chang's estimation, about 50% of his patients have mitochondrial dysfunction, and the symptoms are diverse. The first is often fatigue, which may be followed by hormonal imbalance, which occurs because the cells lack energy to function properly. All right. Brain fog. Brain fog it pervades the people that come in to see us. And so if you have any of these symptoms, you want to look at your mitochondria to see what is going on there so that you can address it. If you're just taking a vitamin, which I absolutely do, and I absolutely recommend everybody take a good vitamin, but you want to take a vitamin that is proven to do what it needs to do, which is turn itself into antioxidants so that you're getting the benefit of that vitamin. That's why we do the scanner, because Pharmanex, their vitamins are guaranteed to do what they say they do, and it is measurable on the scanner. Okay, and that's what we want. I was taking before, I'm just honest, before I got the scanner, I was taking what I thought were really, really good vitamins. And I do think they're very good vitamins. However, I was not getting the antioxidants that I needed, and I changed to this brand of vitamins. And on my nutritional scan now, I am at optimum where before I was not. And so those are just some things that you need to know. You want to make sure that you're taking something that is proven and can be measured to be effective on that, okay? So besides all of those symptoms that we just talked about, you can also have diabetes, cardiovascular disease, neurodegenerative diseases, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, and infertility. So yes, Velma, nootropics are very, very good, but if you're not digesting them, then they're not going to be effective. So it all starts in the gut. Everything goes back to the gut with your digestion. Are you absorbing your nutrition? If you're taking supplements, are you breaking those down and absorbing them as well? And I will just tell you, people come in here with bags and bags of supplements. They've spent hundreds of dollars a month on their supplements, and they're getting zero benefit as per our testing that we do here, which is absolutely demoralizing. Nobody has money to be spending, taking $300 or $400 worth of supplements per month, and it's not digesting and changing you at the cellular level. So we need to understand that, okay? So heart failure is another mitochondrial dysfunction. Okay, so how can you prevent mitochondrial dysfunction? That is the question. I heard you ask that. And so this is how we avoid it. We avoid toxic metals. We avoid persistent organic pollutants. We avoid medications such as aspirin, antibiotics, NSAIDs, and statins. And we also avoid alcohol. Those are your most common destroyers of your mitochondria. Stress and negative emotions can also affect the health of your mitochondria, and they should be dealt with promptly. Now, stress, we all have stress. We're all going to have stress. We live in a stressful environment. We live in stressful times. Look at the news. I quit watching the news. Just going to tell you, I quit watching the news in 2022. Why is that? Because in our particular locale, everything was doom and gloom, and we're going to die, and we're going to, stay home, stay safe, all that kind of stuff. And I can't deal with it. I found myself getting depressed. I found myself getting anxious, and I can't do what I need to do if I'm depressed and anxious. So I quit watching the news. Now, I did look at medical reports. I did look at verifiable scientific reports from credible institutions to find out what was going on. I had to get the stress out of my life, and I just don't have negative emotions. I don't allow negative emotions. When I get ticked off, or when I get sad, or when I get depressed, or whatever, I turn a switch, think of something else. I don't allow that to take residence in my brain because I know how detrimental it is to my immune system. So we can't do that. You want to take supplements that your mitochondria needs. One of the premier supplements is CoQ10. Now, CoQ10 is a little funny supplement. A lot of producers, it is in a capsule, it is in a tablet, and I'm just telling you, you're wasting your money if you get your CoQ10 in a capsule or in a tablet. It needs to be in a gel or it needs to be a liquid, all right? If it's not in a gel cap, you're not getting any benefit, or if it's not in a liquid, then you're not getting any benefit from that. So we want you to get the right product, but we want you to get it in a form that your body can metabolize. So CoQ10 is required for the functioning of the mitochondria, and it is an important component of cellular respiration. It is also a powerful antioxidant that affects cell signaling, metabolism, and energy transport. Many clinical trials have proven that CoQ10 promotes energy production and reduces fatigue. Now, in a Spanish study, patients with fibromyalgia were randomly divided into two groups, one which took 300 milligrams of CoQ10 per day for 40 days, compared with the other group, which was the placebo group. All right. The CoQ10 group experienced a reduction in fibromyalgia symptoms of 52%. 52% pain reduction. That's half. So fibromyalgia, they tell me it's pretty high up there. So that is a 9 or 10 out of a scale of 1 to 10, right? So if you could get that 10 down to a 5, you would think you were sailing. Now, obviously, I want you to get it down to a 0, but just adding CoQ10 will diminish your pain by 52%. It reduced fatigue by 47%, and it reduced morning tiredness by 44%. A meta-analysis published in August 2022 showed that taking CoQ10 alone, rather than with any other supplements, could significantly reduce fatigue. So that's really, really important. I just want to show you some. We have CoQ10 here. I didn't bring it in here because it's a supplement that everybody knows that we have. We also have Meta. We've talked about Meta before. Meta means metabolic. Anytime you have a metabolic dysfunction, your mitochondria are involved. And so we're starting a new Meta challenge on Monday. So if you've got mitochondria issues, it's a 90-day challenge. You're going to want this because this strengthens your mitochondria and does all the magic things that you need to do so that those metabolic processes that are going awry, they turn back and they do the right thing. We've also got this little vitamin, and it's called ATP cofactors. Now, if you were listening at the beginning, we talked about ATP. ATP is the powerhouse, the energy of the cell. These are cofactors. These are vitamins that help you make more ATP, and we're going to talk about that. All right. So the cofactors, when you are low in your energy, when you're not making ATP, it can be because your nutrition is so bad and you're not getting the vitamins that you need in order to fund the energy that the cell needs to make ATP. So cofactors give you those vitamins. It's vitamin B, let me see what it is. I think it's B2 and B3, riboflavin and niacin, okay? And it won't make you flush, so there is that. So you want to look at that. Those are two things that we have that are specifically geared to the ATP production as well as the mitochondria working the way it's supposed to. We do have CoQ10 as well, and it is in a single supplement. There's nothing else added to it, and it is sublingual. It goes right into the bloodstream. There's zero waste, and you get 100% of the effectiveness with that. Now, vitamin D is important for every immune function. So yes, vitamin D is important, and most people are woefully low. And again, if you're getting your vitamin D in a capsule or a tablet, it's not doing you a bit of good. It goes through digestion, gets chewed up. It goes through the liver, gets chewed up. It finally makes its way to the kidneys where the body can absorb it. So if you have a sublingual, if you have something, a liposome, which is what we do, right into the cheek, right into the bloodstream, zero waste. So that's a very good point. So regularly adopting a ketogenic diet will also help mitochondrial function. Now, this is important because a lot of people think that a keto diet is lots of protein, and that would be a wrong assumption. I know people are out there, they call it a keto diet, but I'm telling you, a keto diet is not a lot of protein. A ketogenic diet consists of getting calories from fat rather than carbohydrates. The diet switches the mitochondria from burning glucose to burning ketone bodies, which produces fewer toxic substances in the form of free radicals. Ketone bodies are cleaner foods for the mitochondria. Furthermore, cancer cells cannot metabolize ketone bodies for their own fuel. All right. Therefore, the ketogenic diet may be used to cut off the rations of cancer cells so that cancer can be reversed. Now, I just want to tell you, if you have no gallbladder, you cannot do a keto diet. You just can't. Why is that? Because the diet is primarily fat-based, good fats, primarily fat-based, and without a gallbladder, you cannot metabolize your fats. So I would even try this without a lot of professional help if you have no gallbladder. The fourth thing that we can do is we can practice intermittent fasting. All right. Thomas Seyfried is a well-known scholar in cancer research, and he's a professor of biology at Boston College. And he says cancer is not a genetic disease. Surprise, surprise. Now, we've known that. We've known that. Holistic people know that it's not a genetic disease. But when you're out there in the world, all you're hearing is, it is genetic, get tested, get your genes tested, and that kind of thing, okay? It is not, according to this doctor, who is a biology professor, okay? So he's way smarter than I am. He says it's not a genetic disease. It is a mitochondrial disease. It is a metabolic disease. It is a result of cellular metabolism disorder. The mitochondrial metabolism of cancer cells is different from the efficient aerobic respiration used by normal cells. Cancer cells empower themselves with fermentation, meaning that they obtain energy through the oxygen-free process by decomposing glucose and glutamine. This means they produce much less ATP. Remember, ATP is important for cellular repair and that kind of thing. Chang mentions in his book that diabetes can be reclassified as a metabolic disorder rather than an endocrine disease. Now, if you have diabetes, if you know of somebody with diabetes, they're going to say it's an endocrine function, it's a pancreatic function. We know that diabetes can be reversed, right? You have to do some work. You've got to get your cells functioning. You've got to get your pancreas functioning again. And yes, we can help you do that. I'm glad to see this doctor saying this is a metabolism mitochondria issue. And so if you change your mitochondria, you can change your diagnosis, all right? It is not insulin resistance. When the mitochondria fail to function properly, the rate of fat oxidation and energy production will drop, resulting in fat accumulation. The fats are converted into lipid peroxides that are toxic to the cells and further damage the mitochondria. Decreased mitochondrial function in beta cells is also slowing the insulin secretion, leading to impaired glucose tolerance, hyperglycemia, and type 2 diabetes, right? Intermittent fasting is good for mitochondria because if one is constantly eating, and remember, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. If you are a grazer, you're not doing your immune system any good. So we don't want to be a grazer. If you have 3 set meals a day, that's better than being a grazer. But if you intermittent fast, and there's multiple ways to do that. I've been doing intermittent fasting since January 6th, I think. All right. And I feel better than I felt in a long time. I've lost quite a bit of weight, which I wanted to do. That was my reason for doing that. But as I've been doing the researching, I am healing my mitochondria and getting my mitochondria to do what it needs to do. Now, do I have any kind of sickness and diagnosis? No, I do not. My blood work is stellar. I think I'm good. My energy is good, as I told you earlier. However, the aging process goes on. The misfolding of proteins goes on. So anything that I can do to help my internal engines run better, run cleaner, those are the kind of things that I need to be doing. So when we are doing intermittent fasting, we are cleaning up the energy of digestion so the body can use that energy for a process called autophagy. Okay, autophagy is when the body goes, I've got stuff in here I don't need, I've got toxic matter I don't need, I've got decaying matter I don't need. I'm going to take that energy that she usually uses, I lost an ear, that she usually uses to digest her food, and I'm going to go in and clean up and repair, and that's really, really important. Chang says that when you graze all day, that's like leaving your car engine running all the time and producing a lot of exhaust even though you're not traveling. Mitochondria build up damaging free radicals when they are constantly working. Why is that? Because they're gobbling up, they're destroying, they're recycling, and these extra valence electrons get spun off into the intracellular matrix, creates free radicals, right? That's why we need a good antioxidants in our diet. Okay, that's why we need to do that. So during fasting, the blood doesn't rush to the digestive tract to aid digestion, and the gut can rest. The cells have a chance to repair themselves. In addition, fasting can stimulate the cells and the mitochondria to start the autophagy, essentially cleansing and forming new mitochondria. I want new mitochondria, okay? And so we need to do that. If we're always grazing, yes, Velma, you're absolutely correct. If we're always grazing, then we are not taking out the trash. We're not doing the recycling. We're just piling, we're hoarding, right? So our internal organs become hoarders, and we don't want to do that, all right? Chang also suggested that when we do eat, we should choose non-processed, natural, organic foods, and we should relax and eat slowly with gratitude at meal times. And when we do this, we reduce internal stress, we protect the mitochondria, and we help in our digestion. The last way that we can help with our mitochondria is to do high-intensity interval training. All right, so a lot of people do medium-level exercise or low-level exercise. The high-intensity training is more beneficial to the mitochondria than any other kind of exercising. All right, mitochondria with high-intensity impact training can boost their function, boost their energy production, and help you have a cleaner metabolic process. So that was a lot. If you have any questions, if you have any clarification that you need, Velma, I appreciate you. I mean, good grief. You have just kind of put everything that I've said into a nutshell that's made it very easily understandable. So you've done the Cliff Note version of the Dr. Polly Live. So I do appreciate that. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, then pop them in the box and we'll get to them. Share, like, comment. That helps Facebook know that we're giving you some information that is important to you. It's important to your friends. It's important to your family. And it just helps us to stay current. If you have any questions, if you have anything at all, let me know. It's the weekend. Self-care, right? Look at your mitochondria. Look at what you need to be doing. If you need help, reach out. We're here for you. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. Take care.